This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Kia ora, and welcome to Diversity Dispatch, your local queer radio show. We're your hosts, Rikki
and Percy, and we're here to bring you the latest in Dunedin queer news, community projects, events, and more.
Sit back, relax, and tune into our fortnightly show hosted on OAR FM.
Let's get started.
Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora.
Welcome to another episode.
With our third person who's always been here.
Yeah,
the whole time.
They've been here the whole time. You just haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So, obviously, it's me, Rikki again. We've got
Percy.
And then we have a special guest.
Miles, a.k.a. Cherri.
Yeah, one of the local drag performers who's highly talented and iconic and sickening, and we love them.
We only allow talented people on this show.
Exactly.
Why am I here?
That's what I ask myself every day. I'm like, why am I here?
This is your intervention. Mm-hmm. You're talented.
That I am or am not talented?
That you are.
That I am.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think today we're going to do a little conversation about hot takes and stuff. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, how about we get to know Cherri, a.k.a. Miles, a little bit more?
Yeah.
So tell us, where are you from? What are your pronouns?
Right, so out of drag, my pronouns are he, him. In drag, whatever heck you want to call me.
That's all good.
I grew up in Invercargill and I moved to Mosgiel about 4 months ago now and started my drag career.
Ooh, cool.
And we love to see it.
Nice. I'm the same as well. I'm like he, him out of drag, and then when I'm in drag, I'm like,
anything that makes me feel special.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I feel the same way so long as it's like respectful, and even if it's not, I'm going to receive it as if it is, because then they're like, no, I was trying to hurt you, and then you're like, babe, you could never.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Sorry, I'm in like 50 layers of makeup. I can't actually. None of this affects me.
You're like, sorry, I can't hear over my own reflection.
I've got wig glue in my ears.
Exactly. I'm not listening.
Exactly.
So you're from Invercargill.
Yes.
What was it like there?
Can you ask a more specific question?
What was your reason for leaving? Was growing up there an affirming experience or the opposite?
Well, it was pretty neutral because there was sort of like a quiet understanding that like LGBT culture was not to be talked about. It was a quiet understanding and everything, but also no one actually actively said anything gross.
Yeah.
So that was a bit strange. But it also meant that there was no way for me to learn about who I am because I'm a trans man. And yeah, so there was really just no resources that I knew about. There was exactly one youth group.
Yep.
In Invercargill based around queer youth, and there is one group for adults in, I think, all of Southland, I think.
That sounds about right.
Which is Chroma, I believe.
Chroma? I barely know her. No, where is Chroma based?
So they meet... Well, they have a Facebook page because they're sort of covering all of Southland. They sort of bounce around different cities and stuff. But yeah, it's like, I think like monthly get-togethers or something for queer adults.
Interesting.
It's usually like at a cafe or something. I think I like left all the youth groups and everything before I was old enough because it is like an enforced 18 plus group.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's quite often recommended. The youth group I was part of, E14E, hosted at number 10 in Invercargill. Like they would refer people to Chroma once they aged out of their program.
Oh, right.
Okay, because the number 10 is also, a sexual health clinic?
Yeah, they do everything there. So they have like counsellors, medical teams, support groups for all different kind of things. Did I say mental health support already? I did.
Say it again.
But they really have everything, like legal support as well.
Oh, yeah,
in
that's
case you
awesome.
get yourself into a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
They're a really awesome group. Everyone's so lovely there. They have like all their resources are free as well.
Cool.
They have like a little thrift shop room
in
there,
fun.
so you can go in and like give what you can, take what you need. It's really, really awesome, and they like provide meals at all the youth group meetings and everything. Like, it's a really awesome group.
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool. I imagine it's just like there aren't enough resources to go around to every single person.
No, there isn't, unfortunately, but they do a really good job of spreading it.
Yeah, cool.
That's good. We'd love to hear it. Right, so Percy, would you like to kick us off with today's
Yeah, I have
discussion?
a lot of opinions, and I also love hearing myself talk, so it's a great combination.
I'm sure your audience loves hearing you talk too.
Oh, yeah.
They don't. No. Kidding.
Damn. Okay.
Tea.
All right. So my first hot take, which probably is not that hot of a take in like my immediate social circle, because everyone else is going to go, yeah, we know. But like in sort of the wider, I guess, queer community, I don't think that RuPaul's Drag Race has been that good for like local drag. And that's
Yeah.
Oh,
my hot
not
take.
at all. Yeah.
God, no.
No, I totally agree.
They've like sensationalized, like especially the fashion part of things, because it's
Yeah.
like if somebody gets cast to go on the show now,
Yeah.
especially in the like US seasons, it's like, hey, catchphrase, also like here's all this expensive makeup,
Yep.
and also here's this like gown that I paid probably $8,000 for,
Yeah.
or I've rented it or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
at what stage does that not disconnect you fully from who you are as a drag character
Yeah.
and who the designers are? Like, I suppose you just sort of almost become just a runway model.
Yeah. I mean, because that was kind of the. I mean, I could be wrong, but that was kind of the original intention of RuPaul's Drag Race,
absolutely.
right? Is that it's meant to be like America's Next Top Model, but with drag queens.
Yeah,
Because
almost
go
like
back to the original seasons, and it's like that was the core. Everyone was talking about how
Yeah.
they scraped it together
Yeah.
to get there. And, you know, as the seasons go on, they sort of lose those core values.
Yeah.
I still think that everyone that goes on there is incredibly talented and
Oh, yes.
amazing, but I think it's not really representing
Yeah.
a basic drag queen anymore.
Yeah.
You're representing the upper echelon.
Yes.
the elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And I mean, like I see all these videos online of like, especially like with the Olympics and all of these people in like, I mean, I don't want to say like third world quote unquote countries, but countries that are less like economically privileged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of these people doing like gymnastic routines that would like rival Simone Biles. And it makes me think of like in the context of drag, like how many people, especially like local performers, are prevented from being in the spotlight because they just don't financially have the means to support themselves to go on something like RuPaul's Drag Race, or they don't have the time to maintain social media presence and stuff like that.
Also, RuPaul's Drag Race is one of the only reality television shows where the contestants are expected to provide 100% of their
Yeah.
clothing, their looks,
Yeah.
all of the like the shoes, like all of it. Which obviously, if you're not somebody who's been doing it for like a long time,
Yeah.
acquiring all those things, because it's like the amount of times they go out on the stage, they're like, "Oh, we've seen that here already." It's like, how many episodes are there?
Yeah.
And there's like many challenges where it's like getting quick drag. It's like, so I need to bring extra stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you have the stuff, then absolutely go compete.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah. I mean, like the way that I do my drag though, like I make all of my stuff and I'm really happy with the stuff that I make.
Yeah.
So, but not everybody is privileged enough to have access to the materials, because
Yeah.
obviously in Dunedin we're really lucky. We're spoiled with the secondhand shops that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I was going to say something really interesting, but I've forgotten what it was. That's okay.
It is okay. Rest in
Is
peace,
it okay?
Adrian.
Will we accept that?
Let's take it to the jury.
Who's the jury in this situation?
The man standing in the corner with the top hat on, obviously.
Oh, the Hat Man?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
classic.
Babadook?
He's giving us the thumbs up.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's
he-
doing the little
The
limp
the
wrist.
gay hand,
Yeah,
yeah.
the gay hands.
Is he, you know, limp wrist? Yeah.
But yeah, and another thing. But I also think that with RuPaul's Drag Race, it's also given us sort of this almost, like you said, kind of like sensationalized version of what a drag performer is meant to look like. Also, with them, I mean, with RuPaul being transphobic as hell, there's also a distinct lack of like trans people on the show. Like there are in new seasons, which is great, and I think that's awesome. And it's only really recently that we got like a trans masculine person on the show,
Yeah.
and that was so good.
'Cause
But
is Gottmik the only trans man that's been on the US?
I don't think
On the US.
On the
I've sort of
US
fallen
one.
out in
Yeah.
recent
Me too,
seasons.
Because
yeah.
there's someone on Canada's Drag
Yeah.
Race, Denim, who's trans mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and so, like, I remember that, like, when I was first sort of getting into drag, I was, like, really, really reluctant to kind of enter the drag scene because I was like, well, I'm, like, a trans man and I, you know, want to dress as, like, in, like, a femme-presenting drag thing. Is that just going to, like, make everyone go, oh, so you're not really a man, though, are you? And, like, I was, like, so paranoid because there wasn't any representation of people that looked like me on that show, and that was the only exposure to drag shows that I was getting at the time, you know? So, yeah.
Well, so that's the thing with Dunedin's drag scene specifically, because it's so young, all of the people that are in the scene currently, we have very up-to-date morals and ideas about what a drag scene should look like. So we don't have, like, say, you know, previous generations being like, well, we've always done it this way at this venue like this, and this is what the people come here for. This is what the people want. This is what the people pay for. It's like, no, I mean, like, within, a year and a half, we've managed to dictate what the scene has been. So it's like, and I've been approached by a few people, specifically cisgendered women, who want to start doing drag. They're like, oh, but, like, bio queens, like how? And I'm like, girl, just start doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not about what your body looks like as a starting point. It's about the art form and how you do things, how you act.
Yeah.
Like, even the way you dress isn't that important. It certainly is an aspect of drag, because I think the general consensus is that it's sort of an amplified and exaggerated version of what a, quote, woman looks like.
Yeah.
Or even just a person, an exaggerated, like, you're leaning into the art form of, like, of characterization.
Yeah. It's theater. It's theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, definitely. I'm trying to think of, like, another kind of hot take that I have that's like related.
So a friend of mine at her household, she has this jar, and whenever she has, like, dinner parties, she will pull it out and be like, all right, everybody, first of all,
Tips.
Chips, yeah.
Is that it?
No, it's just got pickles in it. She loves it. No. So whenever she has dinner parties, she'll be like, here's a piece of paper. Now, everybody, write down your, what does she call it? Your controversial opinion. And then we put it into the jar, and then we shuffle, and then we pour it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and it's like ones that aren't crazy, but they're just, like, kind of silly. So one of hers is controversial opinion. We should abolish all gyms, and everybody should just get more involved in, like, community activities, like gardening and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, maybe not. She's like, no, but, like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just like, no, but I just think, and I'm like...
See, you don't get to debate about it. You just have to sit there and listen.
No, but we can.
Okay, because, like, I feel like that's where it's fun, is where you get to debate and have these intellectual conversations with your peers.
So, like, do we have any controversial opinions that aren't likely to...
Yeah, not like, I don't think this group of people should be allowed to exist.
Oh, my God.
That's too far.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that the concept of countries and nation states should be entirely abolished, because they actually broadly haven't done anything super positive historically.
True.
Can you explain what you mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So just for context, I'm a history student. That's my thing. So basically, the idea of the modern nation state only was created sort of post-French Revolution. So the French were one of the first, not the only one, but one of the first sort of groups of people to establish a non-monarchy kind of government.
Right.
And so with them, that kind of created this, like, wave of other countries doing the same thing. And so that's when you get, like, the American Revolution and a bunch of other stuff that happened around that time period. The problem is that the idea of a country and, like, a nation state creates that whole thing of, like, my country's the best country and all other countries are bad, or only our country has the best idea of, like, how to live, and unlike these, like, savages over there, they don't know how to do their stuff.
Makes it competitive.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that it kind of gives people what they think is, like, a free pass for like imperialism and colonialism and that sort of thing. And if you look at, like, so much of the, like, modern world conflicts are either about religion or they're about borders, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the U.S., like, with the Mexico border, and then you've got, like, Israel and Palestine and all that stuff. So, yeah, I just think that because the concept of a country was created by essentially a bunch of colonial white supremacists.
And also just, like, the struggle of ownership over land is just because there's so much othering going on. They're like, oh, no, but we want to control this land because we want our people who are superior to be here, as opposed to, like, we want to separate from them, like, them and us, blah, blah. Like, it's just... Like,
it's like, when did it stop being about people having a home and being happy and being able to live their lives?
No,
Capitalism.
exactly. And like there are some really, really good historical examples of the idea of a country not going well, like the India and Pakistan like kind of divide. Previously, that was all one space together, and the British basically just kind of arbitrarily drew a line across and were like, cool, you're in India, you're in Pakistan, you can't cross the thingy. And then they created this like entire system that was super exploitative of Pakistani people, and then it was just it was like one thing after the other. So I think that kind of the modern concept of a country creates an environment for bigotry more easily than like before we had sort of ideas of countries.
It separates the masses so that they're easily controlled.
Yeah, exactly, because it pits one group against another group and goes like, you're worse or better than them and they're trying to steal your stuff, and then it just becomes like a matter of like national pride or whatever. Yeah, which feeds into like militarism, and it feeds into racism and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
I have a hot take.
Ooh,
I've thought
okay.
of one.
Ooh.
So this is sort of in relation. I feel like schools are almost a microcosm of that kind of idea when you divide it into houses.
Yeah.
Which I have always hated.
Me
My
too.
whole time in high school, I was like, this is
worst.
so stupid.
Yeah, this isn't Harry Potter. Like, calm down.
It's like you can't convince me to get competitive about doing
Exactly.
sports day with like against other people just because they're wearing a different color.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
It's one of those things where you pick it apart and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It's
It
like-
gets worse.
I just think it's so stupid to pit teenagers
Yeah.
who are already high on hormones
Yeah.
and probably weed as well
Yeah.
Yeah.
against each other for no good reason. You don't gain anything out of it.
Yeah.
You're just making people get at each other.
They're just trying to like convince you to like they're trying to introduce like something that is meaningless, but then they're like, no, but now this makes you need to try harder,
Yeah.
like do more things. It's like, and now you have to like face off against each other
Yeah.
to get points. And it's like, isn't this fun competitive?
I also think because I went to a school where there was the junior campus and the senior campus.
Yep.
And in the junior campus, there was also like literacy and numeracy competitions as well. So like I competed in a Scrabble competition between classes, which
Yeah.
was really fun. And it sort of encourages your mind as well. Whereas when I moved to senior campus, it was all physical.
Yep.
There was like if you weren't physical, you weren't one of the cool kids
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate that we still have that sort of idea.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
is stupid.
Yeah.
It is.
No, exactly. I mean, honestly, like the whole like houses and like, you know, like competing against each other thing, it's just a way. It's just another way to like control the
Yeah.
group of like, because teenagers are hard enough to control. So like the uniforms, the houses, the like,
Yeah.
you know, start and end times of the day, like detention, literally all of those kind of concepts were created specifically because it makes it easier to control a big group of people at one time.
I think it's sort of like specifically within schools, but also this can be applied to lots of different things, is like adults forget that children can reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Children are not stupid.
They're not
Children
given
are not
enough
stupid.
credit.
You might need to use smaller words to
Yeah.
explain something, but they still have the capacity to understand and justify things. And I think it's stupid that adults treat children like they can't make any decisions.
Yeah.
Like I understand that they might not be able to make bigger decisions.
Yeah.
But like you got to like feed them.
But
and,
also,
like,
just like, even if teenagers are overridden with hormones and stuff, that doesn't mean that their like emotional responses are less intense or
Yeah.
valid or
yeah.
like I fully agree with you on that, and that's something that really sort of it really frustrates me actually. Just the
Yeah.
amount of adults that'll be like, no, but you can't be trusted to make that choice. It's like, why not? Are my feelings not valid or
Yeah.
anything? Like,
And also, it's like there is the case that most people are able to feel a certain way and
Yeah.
still act outside of their feelings.
yes,
And there's also like talking about feelings in a way where it's like, I feel this way because of this, but because the reason is silly, I don't get treated seriously for still feeling that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't matter why I'm feeling what I am feeling.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
No, 100%. And for like teens as well, it's like for a lot of people, it's like their first time ever experiencing like heartbreak, their first time
Yeah.
ever experiencing like extreme rejection, their first time experiencing social ostracization. That word.
I think that's the right word.
Yeah. Okay, we got there. Yeah, and so it's like even if that's not going to be the first time in their life that they ever experience it, it's the first time in their life so far, and so
Yeah.
we need to treat it with like a certain degree of like respect and what's the word, compassion, because it's like
And also on that, just like growing up through the school system, like junior campus times when there's a lot more literacy type, benchmarks, and then all of a sudden you're doing really well. And then it's like you go to the senior campus, then all of a sudden it's like essays and stuff and NCEA. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, my grades have suddenly started slipping when there's like, it's less involved. And it's more just like, all right, now sit at this table and like write things for hours and hours and hours.
Yep.
And it's like having a undiagnosed neurodivergence of some sort, and then just and then the emotions that come along with that. Because say if you're an autistic young person, automatically, you're a lot more sensitive to emotions, a lot more sensitive to stimuli.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden having to deal with this change of scenery.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
Yeah, and then becoming like, I remember I was reading this great tweet the other day that was talking about how the process of realizing you are neurodivergent and or disabled as an adult is actually really, really difficult and upsetting because you kind of look back at your life and you go, all of these opportunities I've missed out on because I was too busy being traumatized.
Yeah.
And and so it's kind of like you're almost like mourning the person that you could have been if you'd had the right support system.
Yeah.
And that like really, that makes me so mad, like genuinely.
Even just like if your disability was visible, it'd be like needing crutches or a wheelchair and not having access to that for probably 10 years after you finished high school. It's like, well,
it's like putting a kid in a foot race, except like they're paralyzed from the waist down, and you expect them to be able to run.
And then after they graduate school, you're like, cool, now go out and live normal life.
Yeah.
And
now I'll give you the crutches and the wheelchair.
Well, it's like, no, well, we won't give it to you. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to like figure out that you're different, traumatize you a bit more, have a mental breakdown, and then you're like, I need to do something about this, and then
pay like $1,000 for a private specialist because none of the public system supports any of your diagnoses.
Exactly.
And it's just
because I know that pediatricians are usually free. If you're under 16 or 13 or whatever,
I'm
you
not.
I'm building up to something.
Thank you, Rikki. Very
I'm building
helpful.
up to something.
Okay.
So if you need to see a specialist before that age, does that count towards like being free, or do you have to pay if you're below that age as well?
I would imagine that you'd still have to pay unless there's like a specific ward for like say neurodivergence testing in children.
So I've been kind of through that gauntlet, and my brother, when we were kids, was the one that was getting tested for all that stuff.
Right.
So for the most part, you can go through the public system and not have to pay, and pay either a reduced amount or nothing, but it takes like significantly longer, like years minimum. Alternatively, if you either want a second opinion or you want to see a private specialist, you have a higher chance of getting seen faster, but it's going to cost you a lot more money.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have to pay for a second opinion, even if you like do the whole wait and everything?
So,
because I thought that was like a right.
Yeah, because I did as an adult. So I went in for an ADHD and autism diagnosis, just at the same time. And they were like, well, we think you're autistic, but you don't behave like, a 4-year-old cisgender boy who runs around and is hyperactive. So you obviously don't have ADHD.
I wonder why.
And I was like, really?
Do you think it has something to do with the fact that I've been traumatized and invalidated my whole life? So now I have to mask all of my things. Like, do you think that could be something to do with it?
Yeah.
No,
exactly. And I was like, so I got like the diagnostic information back, and I was like, I understand like why they don't agree, but I still think it's ADHD. I want to get a second opinion. So I went and spoke to a private psychiatrist, which was really, really expensive, but I was seen like within the month basically. And he was like, yep, you definitely have ADHD. I'll write you a prescription. There you go. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, I have an interesting question for you too. We do roughly have about 2 minutes left, but my question is going to be, post-transition, do you two feel that you have a different experience accessing healthcare from, say, your GP?
Yes.
Because it seems like women have a much harder time getting diagnoses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before I medically transitioned, every time I would bring up a health issue, they'd be like, it's because you need to lose more weight. And it's just because you're fat or you're on your period. It's one of those two. Like literally every time, did not matter what it was. It was always lose more weight or you're just having PMS symptoms. And now that I walk into a doctor's office and most people will clock me as male or like masculine, I don't get that anymore.
That's just vanished.
Yeah. It's weird.
I'm very, very fortunate that my family saw a pretty cheap private GP. So I had the same doctor my whole life up until I moved up here. And he was a good guy. I don't know if I name drop him or not, but he was amazing, and he was never misogynistic. As soon as I came out as trans, he was like, "Yeah, my kid is non-binary."
Oh,
Or
that's
like
amazing.
my kid just came out as non-binary. Do you have any advice for me on how to treat them?
Nice.
He was so good.
Yeah.
Great guy, amazing guy. Like he diagnosed me with endometriosis in one session. Like when I brought it up.
That's awesome because that takes. I read somewhere in New Zealand it takes up to 10 years for some women,
What?
for some like AFAB people to get diagnosed.
And that's
with
only
endometriosis.
recently. It used to be like closer to 20 or 40, didn't it?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think because we've got roughly 30 seconds left, so I think we should continue this conversation in the next episode.
Yes.
But it's been so lovely to talk to y'all.
Yo.
And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
And that's a wrap for today. Diversity Dispatch airs fortnightly on Thursdays at 5 p.m. So if you like today's episode, then be sure to join us in a couple of weeks for the next installment on ORFM.
And check out the podcast on oar.org.nz and your favourite podcast platforms. Tune in for more chill chats, fun facts, and upcoming local events on Diversity Dispatch.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.